Hello and welcome to this Learn tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the top 10 string methods and functions for beginners in Python. Okay, so let's get started. So let's say we got a string here. Let's do hello world. There we go. And there's our string. And the first function we're going to look at is the len function. Len is short for length, and it just tells you how long that string is. So if you just put len, open brackets, and the name of the string, it will tell you how long it is. So that string is 11 characters long. There we go. Good. So that's the len function. Let's move on to the, actually before we move on, let's give you an example of that. So say for instance that you were, you're creating a username and password system, and your password needs to be a minimum length of 8 characters. So you'd have to have some sort of check. So you could say, okay, let's have a look, let's just do password equals input password. There we go. That will ask us for the password. Let's put Bob. There we go. And you can say something like, so if len password is less than 8, print password too short. There we go. Something like that. There you go. And our password is only 3 letters long, so password too short. There you go. So that's an example of the len function. Let's move along. Here we go. So next one is the upper, lower, and the title case. But before we do that, let's import OS and os.system CLS just to clear the screen. Because on Windows I use CLS. Yeah, if it was Linux, you'd use clear. There we go. Okay, so s.upper. So there's our string. Hello world. S.upper. All it does is it takes the string and it returns an uppercase version of it. So uppercase is all capitals. There we go. S.lower does the opposite. It returns all lowercase. And the S.title returns the title case, which actually I'd already put it in. So title case just capitalizes the first letter of each word. So hello and world. There is also another one which I've never used, which is swap case. And that just reverses the string. It's completely, I don't know. I mean, someone must use it, but I've never used it. So there you go. So there's a swap case, which is good. It's interesting, important to note that here's our original string, hello world. If I do s.upper, it doesn't change the original string. If you look, the original string's still there. If you wanted to actually change the original string, then you're going to have to do s equals s.upper. And that will run the uppercase method, which will return the uppercase version, and then swap over the s variable with the new contents. And that's because strings are immutable or unchangeable. There we go. Okie dokie. So next one, is s.find. Let's just os.system. Let's clear that again. There we go. Go back to the top. So here is my string, hello world. We're trying to use the find function. What this does is it searches the string for the first instance of what you tell it to look for, whether that's an individual character or a letter, like a word, or a substring, a few characters, and it will return the position of the first one it finds. And it runs it from the left. So here, if we do s.find and we look for O, it will look through the string and it says number 4, which is correct because Python starts counting at 0, not at 1. So that'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. And it's found that it's the O is there. If you want it to search from the right first, then you need to use rfind and not find. And that will look from the right hand side, and it's found that the first one from the right hand side is in position 7. It's also important to note that it is case sensitive, so if you put a capital O and it can't find it, it won't find it. It will return -1, which means that I've not found it. And as I said before, you can search for substrings or whole words, whatever you want. There you go. So again, it's looked and it's found were there. There we go. WR. It's found it at position 6. There you go. So that's the find method. It will either return a number, a positive integer, or a 0 if it's found it. If it can't find it, it'll return -1. Okay. Next one is alpha, is num, is digits. Okay. So let's just there we are. Refresh that again. So. Sometimes if you're writing a program and you, for instance, your username, if you only allow usernames to be alphabetical, then you're going to need to be able to check that it only contains letters. So, for instance, here, hello world, it doesn't only contain letters because it's got a space in it. So if we run the is alpha, it will say false, because it isn't only alphabetical. Whereas now, if I change that to hello world, there you go, without a space, then it will return true, which is fine. That's useful. Sometimes also you might want to check if you ask the user to enter, how many brothers or sisters they have or something, how many siblings. Now, you might expect them to enter a 1 or a 2 or a 4, but they might actually enter 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever they want to enter. So you need to be able to check that they're only entering digits. And that's where the isDigits method comes in. And that, again, will return true if it's only got an integer inside there, a number. It will return false if it's got anything else in there. Also, sometimes usernames more common is usernames like, for instance, here, like Bob Jones 123. Username is quite common that there'd be a combination of letters and numbers, because quite often your name's been taken by somebody else. So what you could do with that one is you can use the .isAlNum, and that will tell you whether or not it's an alphanumerical thing. So let's have a go at that. So username equals input username, please. There we go. And if you put Bob Jones 321, and then you can say if username, further in your program, if username dot is digit is alnum, there you go, print valid username or something like that, valid username, there we go, something like that. There you go. Good. So that's it. Those three: is alpha, is digit, and is alnum. Good. Next one, count. So let's just go up here and let's clear the screen again. So, for instance, here, sometimes you might want to know how many times a letter or a string, substring, appears in inside of a string. So what you can do here is you can use the s.count method. And let's see how many L's are in there. It should say 3, hopefully. Whoops. Or it would do if I'd finished off that. There you go. There you go. So it's searched through the string and it's found how many times L occurs within the string. There we go. O, it's got it there. Again, if we do capital L, 0, because it is case sensitive. And you can return that with hello. There you go. So it can search for substrings as well as individual characters. So that's the count. Just returns individual characters. Sometimes, let's move on to the sum one. Oops. There we are. If I will clear the screen again. Sometimes we might want to know how many alphanumericals we have. So let's say, for instance, here s equals hello world 123. Now you might say in a password that it needs to have a minimum of 2 numbers and 3 letters or something like that, to make it more unique. So what you can do is you can use the sum function and actually go through and check how many of each instance there is. And this is a little bit more complicated because it's not just a simple function. what we need to do here is we do sum. There we go, and we do character. Let's do C. Yeah, C. C. We're going to put stands for character. C dot is let's do digits. See how many digits it's got. C dot is digit for character in S. There we go. And what this should do now is it will go through the entire string and it will count how many digits it's got. There you go, perfect, isn't it? So that tells you now that that string has 3 digits. Works again for alpha, and it's got 10, 10 letters. So you could do something like if sum is digit C dot is digit for C in S is greater than 2. Oops, you have entered, you could print there if it's gone. You have entered enough, digits. There we go. Something like that. Again, you can make it slightly more complicated. There you go. You've entered enough digits. There you go. So that's sum. Really, really useful. Again, quick one-line piece of code, but quite useful if you're checking out alpha, number of letters, number of numbers in a string. There we go. Okay, next one. Here we go. So look, reversing a string. So let's just clear the screen again. There's my string. If I want to reverse the string, you would expect that there would be a reverse function, but there isn't a reverse method, but there isn't. And the reason is Python, well, it's got an inbuilt way of doing it that Python likes, so it's not bothering doing, to do a reverse. So, and you just do s square brackets, colon, -1, and it will do the reverse of the string. There you go. Again, just like before, it doesn't alter the actual string itself, so you need to save it to the variable or a new variable if you want to save the actual result. There we go. So that's how to reverse a string. Next one, here we are, is strip. Okay, so what this does is, let's have a look. Let's just change the string. Let's do nice to meet you. Full stop, and let's imagine we're going to go on another line, and we'll get have a nice day. There we go, and full stop, and we'll put a load of spaces in there. There we go. So there is the string. Nice to meet you. Have a nice day. \n means new line. So if I print s now, it should hopefully. There you go. Print it on 2 lines. Nice to meet you. Have a nice day. But let's say, for instance, that's my string that I've stored, but I want to get rid of any of the new lines because I'm just trying to store it all as all on one line. How would I do that? Well, I can use I can use the strip function because it strips things away. Now let's have a look. By default, you can do it without any arguments, and if you notice what it's done there is it's stripped the white space from the right hand side. So strip on its own strips the white space from, it actually strips it from, let's just show you, do some spaces there as well. So now let's not strip. It will, without anything inside these brackets here, without any input arguments, it will strip all of the white space from the left and all of the white space from the right hand side. If you wanted to do something else, if you just wanted to strip from the left, then you can do lstrip, and that will get rid of all the white space on the left. Or on the right hand side, strip all the white space on the right, rstrip, you could do that. Or if you want to strip out any new lines, like here, what you can do is inside of here, you can say what you want it to strip out. So you can say, okay, get rid of all of the new lines. And there you can see, oh, it hasn't done that actually. Oh, it's because I've done rstrip. Oh, nope. I've done that completely wrong. Sorry, it'll only strip the new line if the new line is at the end of the string. So let me just show you that. I'll show you in a minute how we would do that. So let's say there's a new line at the end there. Oops. Strip. There you go. So it gets rid of any new lines or any white space at the end. If you want to strip the new lines out from the center of the any new lines from the center in the middle, then you can't use the strip function. You've got to use the replace dot function. So let me show you that. So s.replace. And if we wanted to get rid of them, what we say is, okay, we're going to replace any instances of a new line with what we're going to replace it with. So if you want to replace a new line with a space bar, you can just put a space bar inside of a string. I'm just going to replace it with nothing. So now, there you go. What it's done is it's gone through the entire string and it's replaced any instances of a \n with nothing at all. So we can do a totally different way. Let's do instead of nice to meet you, let's do nice to see you. There you go. Way, there you go. Nice to see you. So it's replaced any instance of meet with C. You got to be careful with this though, because it doesn't look for whole words. It just looks for that particular substrate, MEET. So if there was, for instance, if you'd like, nice to meet you, looking forward to tomorrow's meeting, then it's going to say, nice to see you, look forward to tomorrow's seating, but spelled badly. So anyway, but you can have a play with that and see how it goes. So that's the replace function and the strip. Forgot to put that in there. And let's move on to the next one, which is the split function. Okay, so let's import OS and clear the screen again. There we go. Okay, so the split function. There we go. Look on to the next one. So here's my string. Nice to meet you. Have a nice day. S.split. What it does is it takes the string and it breaks it up into a list. Now, by default, if you just split it without giving it anything, it will split it in between each word using the space bar as the default split. And as you can see here, it's also got rid of any new lines and any spaces at the end or at the beginning. And it's just literally just saved the words and the full stop. There you go. So that's quite useful. If you wanted to do something where you're splitting individual words, you can, if you want to, s.split, and there we are. Whoops. We can do a new line instead, which will split it per line. There you go. So nice to meet you, have a nice day. So each sentence, each new line there is separated into one list item, which is really useful if you're doing something with list items, messing around with sentences or something in a program. If you want to break your list up, so if you want to break your string up and change it into a list per each individual character, then what you want to do there instead is you just need to do list open bracket S, and that will literally chop up the whole string into individual characters, which you can do. It's quite useful if you're doing some kind of like anagram game where you've got to randomize. You take a list, take some characters, and you randomize its order. Then you're going to want to put it into a list first, because then you can use the random.shuffle list, and that will shuffle your word, and then you can print it out as an anagram if you're doing some kind of anagram game, which is quite common for beginners to have a play with. So there you go. So that's how you do that. And then the last one is split lines. We've already pretty much done this, actually. It's just another way of doing it where they split it with the \n. So s.split lines. There you go. Exactly the same as really as the previous one, as the split with the \n, but they've given it an actual function name. to do that. So there you go. Those are the most common string functions and methods that I use, or certainly when I use for my beginners when we're teaching and doing little challenges. So I hope that's useful. Thank you very much. If you've got any questions, comments, suggestions, ideas for tutorials, then just drop a comment in the video. Thank you.